You want to have, first of all, Chanukah. L'chaim, l'chaim, alikka Chanukah. Chaim, Baruch Adu Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nivro. Chaim Britter. Zois Chanukah. We've come to the highest point of the Chag. The reason, one of the reasons brought down in the Gemara, it's from Megillas Tanis, why we increase more candles, like Beis Hill. One of the reasons of Beis Hill is Malim Bakorish Shalom Reading, because we're increasing in Kedusha. So, that means if this is the night with the most candles, it is the most Kedusha, because we only increase Kedusha, we don't decrease Kedusha. Right? So, and we will explain the depth of Beit Shammai's opinion. Beit Shammai's opinion is actually the polar opposite of Beis Hillel, and tonight we'd only be lighting one, but I will demonstrate and explain that even according to Beit Shammai, tonight is the highest night for the exact same reason that Beis Hillel would hold that tonight is the highest night. They just differ in how to demonstrate, and how to reveal the Kedusha of Hanukkah. Beis Hillel shows that it is revealed by adding more lights. Beit Shammai actually says the opposite. It's revealed by decreasing the lights, and we'll explain both opinions. Anyway, this night is called Zos Chanukah, as is tomorrow. And the reason is because in the Torah reading of tomorrow, we are, first of all, going to finish the list, of all the different Nesiim, all the different leaders of different tribes brought for the inauguration of the Mishkan, because the Hashmonaim reinaugurated the Beis Hamikdash in their days. That's why we read that Torah portion, because it's parallel to what the Hashmonaim did. Right? So many years later, by the Second Temple period. But the Torah at the end adds up the grand total. It first goes through each one of the 12 Nesiim, what they brought. And then it gives Zos Chanukah HaMizbeach. And this is Chanukah HaMizbeach. This was given for the inauguration of the altar. And it adds up the grand total, so which we could have done ourselves. And it's because of those words, Zos Chanukah, this is, even though it's just the grand total, this is Chanukah HaMizbeach. This is the inauguration of the Mizbeach. It's the grand total of what was at the end of 12 days. And it's because of that piece of the Torah reading of Zos Chanukah HaMizbeach that this day is called Zos Chanukah, the part of the Torah reading that adds up and tallies up all the figures. And so we have to say what the significance of that is. Why did the Torah bother doing it? Why did the Bible, spend time doing simple addition that we could have done ourselves? Because after all, they all brought the same type of gift, so we could have added up the totals ourselves. Number one. Number two, what does it have to do with Hanukkah? Right, the 8th day of Hanukkah in particular. But you could be sure that there actually is, it's not just a distant philosophical, it's also in practice. There is a special halacha that applies on tomorrow. You generally think Hanukkah, the mitzvah of the night is lighting candles. The mitzvah of the day is, saying Hallel. But tomorrow there's an additional mitzvah of the day. It's not brought down in the Gemara, but the Torah brings it. And says that on the 8th day, we should gather up all the leftover wicks and oil and make a medura, make a bonfire. And it doesn't have to be a big bonfire, like Maamar, but you make one big fire that burns up all the leftover wicks and oils. And that's amazing when you think about it, because it's kind of the opposite of how the candles were lit. We, in a sense that, First of all, every night we lit a different amount, right? Yeah, to show what's special about us. We kept, as it were, the nights separate. We don't light the same amount every night. We increase, right? To show how each night is special, right? But also within the candles that we light every night, we have to keep them separate from each other, right? So we have to be very careful that in the event that let's say you have a bunch of wicks coming out of the same oil basin. Let's take a big put wicks. So we have to keep the wicks very far away from each other. Or alternatively, put a separate vessel to cover each wick, that the wick should not combine or be perceived as one big flame. Keep the candles separate. Even the candles of any given night, third night, keep all those three candles separate. And so, and here on the, and we have to understand what is the purpose of keeping everything separate. And yet on the eighth day, during the daylight hours, and not at night, during the eighth day on the day, take everything from all the days, all together, all the leftover wick and oil from all the days, one big fire. Right? It's brought down into it. Now, to give the whole story, the halachic, backbone of it is that these wicks and oil, since they were, you had in mind that they should be consumed for the purpose of a mitzvah. So now that means they have the identity of mitzvah. They can't be used for profane purposes afterwards, nor could they be dishonorably discarded. Can't throw them in the garbage. It's like your lulav that you finish with on Pesach. Excuse me, you finish with your lulav on Sukkot. So it's customary to save it for Pesach and burn it with the chametz. You could burn it. That's called for mitzvah articles, not for things that have the divine name, like holy books have to be buried, like a human being has to be buried. But things that are used for mitzvah, they could be discarded in a honorable way, which includes burning. We try to do an additional mitzvah with it. So let's say with the lulav, there's the additional, we throw it into the bonfire with the chametz because it's a mitzvah to burn your chametz. There are those that also say that the leftover or aravas and oshanas can also be used for the fire to bake matzahs. Okay, just strengthens our question. If that's the halachic basis for it, right, that you did one mitzvah, so discard of it in a manner that you're doing a different mitzvah in addition, right? So now we keep the lulav and the aravas, and oshanas from Sukkot all the way till Pesach. 6 months. We hold on to it for 6 months just to do another mitzvah. Now, Chanukah's like half the distance, almost, between Sukkot and Pesach. Why don't we just leave the oil on the wicks for the chametz burn, or for the burn it there? It's olive oil. It's not chametz. And if even for were chametz, so you'd burn it together with the chametz. So that's saying that means even though the halachic basis for the custom is that it has to be discarded by burning as opposed to being thrown out in the trash, right? That's called an honorable way to dispose of it. So it must be that burning all the wicks together, if that became the custom of how you get the wicks and oils, that must be something honorable in its own right. Now, otherwise, if it weren't, it must be like a type, have a mitzvah aspect to it. Because if it would have no mitzvah aspect to it, we would just save the oil on the wicks for Pesach, to burn it with the chametz or burn it with the fire that we use to bake the matzah, like we do with the 4 species, what's left over of, flammable, from what's left over from Sukkot. So if we don't wait till Pesach, that means that there's some idea, there's some message in burning all the wicks together on the 8th day of Hanukkah. Right? So even though the halachic basis is, they have to burn it, you can't just throw it in the garbage, right? And you can't use it for profane use, right? But since the custom is to use it for another mitzvah, it shows that you don't have to save it for Pesach. You could burn it. There's some type of inyan, some type of idea of just burning all the oil wicks together. So that needs to be understood. Now, the truth is you know, this duality that we're pointing out, you know, that there's keep the candles separate. Every night has its own unique number. If you're able to, be Mahadar B'mitzvah and add a candle for each night. So each night has its unique number, and each candle in that number has to stand alone. And yet on the eighth day, we burn them all the different wicks and oils from all the days, all the leftovers together. That interesting duality, the separate versus the unified, was reflected in the menorah itself, right? The menorah that was in the temple, right? The thing that had the miracle that happened to it, the light of the menorah, right? The menorah itself had 7 branches, but it was miksha tasas menorah. It had to be made out of one solid piece of gold, one solid piece of gold. And that's which was virtually impossible to do. So Hashem, had to assist us. God had to assist us in that. Mikcha Tia said the menorah, and the menorah, virtually made itself, by miraculous intervention. And it's interesting that it's learned out that Moshe had difficulty understanding how to make the menorah. It's alluded to in that word mikcha. It was hard. It's like one solid piece of gold. It was also hard for Moshe. So there's something like really mystical about the one unity of the menorah. So 7 separate branches, and yet one solid piece of gold. Right? And that unity, that solid piece of gold, is also the word commanding us that should be miksha. Right? Also says there was kosher. Moshe Rabbeinu, was something about the menorah that defied Moshe Rabbeinu's. He just couldn't comprehend it. Right? We spoke about this on other occasions, and that's what's you're getting the point. That this already alludes to Zos Chanukah. Severed, separate. The eighth aspect is the unity, right? Displayed on burning all the wicks on the 8th day. We have that breakthrough on the 8th night. And so let's start connecting the dots, and let's refer back to something that we mentioned in our last address when we gave our Maamar for Thursday night for Miketz, and Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos, Hanukkah. So we point out that Parshas Miketz is always the Parsha of Shabbos, Hanukkah, and has a clear allusion to the 8th day of Hanukkah. And this idea that the 8th is, alludes to unity. The unity is the 8th aspect. The menorah in the Beis Hamikdash had 7 branches. The 8th is the aspect of unity, and that's brought out on the 8th daytime, that we burn all the 8 wicks, 8 days worth of wicks and oils together. Right? And that's alluded to in the parsha. Let's take a break for it. Take a deep breath and have another l'chaim. This really is a festive occasion. This is the high point of Hanukkah. It's a mitzvah to be a little bit joyous on Hanukkah. That mitzvah is like off the charts tonight. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim. As we were saying, Paro dreams, and he sees 7 good cows grazing together. Then he sees 7 bad cows come up and consume. It doesn't say they were grazing together. Same thing. 7 good stalks coming out of the same stem. Which, as we pointed out, that if you match what that look like a menorah. 7 stalks coming out of one stem, like a menorah. That was by the 7 good ones. Does not say that by the seven bad stalks that came out of Chanukah, that came out of one stem, something special for the good. The good was unified, right? So it's seven versus seven. The seven good ones have an aspect of unity. The seven bad ones don't have that aspect of unity. And that's again alluding to the menorah, seven branches, but this holy vessel was made of one solid piece of gold, right? And this again, that's the eighth aspect. The eighth aspect is the unity that permeates all seven, right? Which is, and we break through to that on the eighth night. So it's separate because it's the eighth as opposed to the seven. That eighth is the unity that permeates all. So it's different, and yet it permeates all. A whole different level. But that whole different level permeates all. Explain this. The Ramchal. We know, and this is I'm giving you now special stuff. We know that the Ramchal merited to learn Torah with angels and the neshamas, the souls of the departed tzaddikim. Now, much of that material was confiscated from him and subsequently lost, sadly, because they really were suspicious of him. They were worried that he was delusional, or they worried that he was a charlatan, which, of course, history has vindicated Ramchal as being something. He was just off the charts. Yes, it could be said that in his generation, it was just too good to be true. They thought it's just too good to be true. And sadly, we didn't merit to have all these things that he was taught from these creatures, these angels and souls of tzaddikim from the beyond. But we have bits and pieces, and we have something on Parshas Miketz, the parsha we just read, and it was taught to him by no coincidence, as we'll explain, by Avraham Avinu himself. That's right, Avraham Avinu, our forefather Abraham, revealed himself to the Ramchal and taught him this piece of Torah. Right? It refers to this idea. It decodes this idea of the unity that there is, the unity within the diversity, and it's a very deep piece. But let's first start unpacking it the way the Ramchal himself. He wrote a little brief commentary on it, and now that his students subsequently composed a book, Astfunas Chelik Sheni, that's printed in the Ginzei Ramchal, and there they decoded even more. And he says like this, there's seemingly, it didn't have to be this way, if not for the sin of Adam, and we spoke about this, but because of the sin of Adam, there's two modes of conduct there are in how God runs the world. There's the external visible one, and there's the internal hidden one. Right now, the external one, which is what we see, is that there's like different forces of nature, somehow, they it's miraculous when you really think about it. You have to really think about it, understand how awesome this is. To the others, like separate forces of nature, and it's just miraculous, but it's only miraculous to a person who exercises his brain to analyze what we're looking at. But we see fire, water, all types of oppositional forces, positrons, electrons, and there's and it looks like there's like a little bit of clash between them. And it really only the analytical mind is really blown away how there's like a certain cosmic balance that's maintained. Seemingly, we look at life full of contradictory forces, just like in human affairs, contradictory interests, and it's hard to see any type of unified field theory. I know, the theoretical physics try hard, right? But it's hard to see, a unified field theory. And certainly when it comes to human affairs or the historical events, any type of like one unified plan. And this contradictory, forces, which include conflicts of interest in human affairs, right? So certainly, the conflict of interest also seems sometimes, crime does pay, but it keeps us guessing. Sometimes crime doesn't pay. Sometimes it does pay, and we just see a lot of, sometimes justice reigns, sometimes justice seemingly lost out, and all these contradictions, both on the natural level, be it the law of the jungle, be it in politics, be it in historical events. Yeah, justice, even in the sadly, you know, in even in our internal affairs, terrible contradictions and conflicts between our different, facets of our personality. Yeah, yeah, and there's that, right? But that's what we see. We see the chaos. We see the conflict, chaos, separation, conflict of interest. That's what we see, right? It's hard to see see at all with the flesh eyes. We spoke about in our. I urge everyone to look up everything else we said about Hanukkah this year, because all the different presentations complement each other, right? We don't see we see the conflict, right? We see the ups and downs, the twists and turns.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please?
But we don't see the unified theory, the unified plan, the master plan, the unity. Scientists are still trying to work out a unified field theory just to explain how nature holds together. Right? But then there is the unified theory because there's only we believe, and that's why going towards Avram Avinu, who said this part, the man who revealed there's only one God and one real power. Of course, that one real power, since there's only one of him, right? He's got a plan, and since there's only one of him, that is the source of all existence. So there is a unified plan for all existence because there's only one of him. But now that inner plan is hidden, not visible. Now, the fact that it's not visible to the eye is our problem. And it's all because of us. We screwed up, right? Because before the sin of Adam, and before the and subsequent to the sin of Adam, we got the Torah, but then we had a setback with the sin of the golden calf. And so before the sin of Adam, Adam he saw everything straight. And the pasuk says, "Asher kibbutz Adam Yashar," God made man straight. And we know from geometry, there's only one straight line between 2 points. You could have infinite crooked lines. There's only one straight line between 2 points. The one truth is also called the straight. From beginning to middle to end. Beginning, middle, end. The one straight path, that is parallel to the one straight truth, one truth that there is. There's between 2 points, there could be infinite crooked lines, only one straight line. So God made man straight, but man has requested to make things complicated. The famous saying that life is simple. It's people that are complicated. The verse already said it. And not only that, it said even man used to be straight, simple, just saw things in clear truth versus falsehood. But with the tree of knowledge, good and evil, everything got good and evil got intertwined, right? It got all complicated. We wanted things to be complicated, right? Now, of course, a person who wants to be crooked, he likes complication. That camouflages his crookedness. He can pass off his crookedness being straight, you know, because with life being complicated, okay, I'm sorry. So you hear that in the background, it's an emergency with our golden retriever. All right. Sorry, it's a problem being a dog owner. I got it from my kids. And it was worth it, but it comes complications. You have to excuse me for that. Is someone was Ema stuck with Sonny? It looks like my kids are doing something about it. Anyway, sorry about that. Look, they tell me that for these live YouTube presentations, being very candid and bringing your family into it, makes these presentations all the more pleasurable. Khan. They like complications. Complicated is when things are complicated, that's plenty camouflage to rip people off. It's complicated. People can't, and also, the wicked, they give these complicated explanations to justify why they do what they do. So the necessity for the complicated way of life is really, it's a human problem. We brought that into the world. So now here's the thing that by no coincidence, we learned this from our father Yaakov, whose attribute is truth. Truth. We said truth is the straight line, which is represented by the word emes itself, the word for truth. The aleph, first letter of the Jewish alphabet, mem, the middle letter, tav, the final letter, straight line from the beginning to the middle to the end. So he tells Rachel, if your father Lavan is going to, cheat me, right? I will outdo him. I will outcheat the crooked, and that's. See, you can't be straight with the wicked because they'll walk all over you, right? And God wants everyone to have free will. Wants everyone to have the freedom to screw themselves up and to wreak havoc on anyone that by their own wrongdoings is vulnerable to the crookedness of evil. So God doesn't want to suspend free will. He wants to allow people to be crooked if they so desire. Right? So how do you straighten the score? How do you straighten things out if you allow for crookedness because you don't want to suspend free will? So how do you straighten things out without taking away the free will? Out crooked, out crooked, crooked. All right, so they'll be crooked, and we'll just be more crooked. But the being crooked with the crooked is the set things straight. And that's the phase. As a good friend of mine, Rabbi Simcha Bear in Baltimore, once said, Yaakov bin Rabin, that he was viewed as a thief by Esav and Lavan, right? Is that he is the straight man in a crooked world, right? So the straight man in a crooked world, if crooked looks normal, then straight looks crooked. And he had to fight for what was rightfully his. So he had to out crooked the crooked, right? Because that is also what God does in running the world. God says, look, my agenda has to be fulfilled. But I can't suspend free will because I don't want to suspend free will. I want to give everyone, the right to be masters of their own destiny, right? And to choose good and earn reward, or choose evil and deserve punishment. That's the free will I want the world to run on. But my agenda has to be fulfilled also, so I have to out crooked the crooked. That's why it's very hard to see divine justice. It looks like justice only triumphs sometimes. Well, but sometimes it's a long process of out crookeding the crooked. The end result, everything will be just, right? But the enabling of the crookedness in the first place, and then out crookeding the crooked, right? That all comes from the unified plan. Unified plan is that this world has to make it to the perfection of seeing that God is the one and only absolute power. People have to have free will to either play a role in bringing about that revelation or playing a role in obscuring that revelation and slowing down that revelation, and they'll have to deserve their punishment. Right? So people have a chance to either play a role pro or play a role to be against it. But God in the end has to triumph.
Like on the YouTube channel.
Right?
Hold on a second. Are you done?
No. Who is it?
Yes, fries.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm running late. Tell him I'll call him back.
Okay, he said he'll call me back.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I want to introduce my daughter, Tamar. Yeah. Listen, this makes the video more desirable, right? And more popular. Okay.
Let me just say for the
So anyway, well, sorry about action, but the family situation makes it more natural, right? No, less staged, more natural. Anyway, and please subscribe, and like this, please. Okay, but anyway, as we go on, the God has to triumph, so he has to out crooked the crooked, but that's all coming from the unified plan to to reveal his absoluteness. Those who chose to work for it will get their reward, and those who chose to work against it will be punished. And but God yet will triumph. So he's going to reveal his absoluteness, and as a function of his absoluteness, he must absolutely succeed. But he wants to succeed, right, without taking away our free will, to give us an opportunity to choose pro or con, to earn reward or, God forbid, to deserve punishment. So he will succeed and reveal his absoluteness through out crookeding the crooked. Comes a unified plan to move the world from its imperfect state where God's singular omnipotence is hidden to the perfect world where singular omnipotence is revealed, right? Is in itself that plan to reveal the oneness, the omnipotent oneness, is in itself a unified field that encompasses within it that if people deviate from the plan, I will out crooked the crooked. That's why there's a dichotomy between the revealed order of the universe and the concealed one. Right, but the concealed one is a pure unity that permeates both the reward and the good times and the punishment and the bad times, all part of a unified theory, unified not theory, I mean unified plan, unified master plan to bring the world to all-encompassing perfection. And but that's kept hidden to give us a chance to play a role. It didn't have to be so hidden. Our sins, made it, double hidden, triply hidden. Um, sadly, it used to be easy choices. Now it's all very complicated. But the complication is external, and the simple unified theory is internal. Now, for us, Jewish people, we are on that inside track. We are called Zeria, which is just like that track. The inside track is called MS, truth, singular, straight truth, Yashar, and MS that goes beginning, middle, right? The singular truth, the singular straight line. So Am Yisrael is also called Yisrael, and Yeshurun. The root of the word is Yashar, straight. Yes, we are all straight. Yeah, straight, only straight. So Yashar, right? Straight, and we're also called Zera Emes, the seed of truthhood, and we have a Torah Emes, right? A Torah of truth, and the Torah opens up our eyes, particularly the story of the all of Torah opens our eyes, divine justice, particularly the study of Kabbalah, right? To see the unified plan that's permeating all. Right? But and this is of course the legacy of the children of Abraham, who discovered that there is one God for all. There's only one God, and therefore there must be a singular unified plan. And the Torah is the revelation of that plan, given to us. But where that plan is particularly revealed? We said in the Kabbalah, right? Kabbalah is part of the Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral law. Sadly, the Bible could be read, as a full of contradictions. Because the Bible, get this straight, the Bible is the visible Torah. It's in books, black on white, and it parallels the visible layer of reality, which is contradictory forces, conflicts of interest, justice and injustice. So now, but of course, we know that that's not how to understand the Bible. But how do we know it? Through the oral law, through the Torah Shabbat Peh. The Torah Shabbat Peh opens our eyes, and the Torah Shabbat Peh resolves all those seeming contradictions between the different psukim, between the different verses. It makes order, a beautiful order, not a apologetic order, and not squeezed, but a beautiful order, uniform, full of psukim in a. You see the master plan, and there's no contradiction whatsoever. That's in the Torah Shabbat Peh. And Torah Shabbat Peh is distinctly Jewish. The Gentiles never stole our oral law from us. And that's Chanukah, which is, as we said a few times, it's a chag of Torah Shabbat Peh. Right? It's a chag that taps into the oral law, which is that, and Kabbalah is part of that oral law. It's part of the Torah Shabbat Peh. Right, and that is where that is a special legacy of the Jewish people. That's the secret. Gemara says, "Lo nichos bris al Torah Shabbat Peh." The real covenant between us and Hashem is on the oral law, right? That is, the written law is also part of Torah, but the real main covenant between us and Hashem is the oral law. That's what brings out, the inner meaning of the Torah. In that inner meaning, we see the unity that permeates all the verses, resolves all the contradictions. Not just resolves, but shows how everything's part of a mega meta system of a singular master plan. Right. So now the Gentiles, they were able to steal the written law, but not the oral law. The Gentiles, even after they were always pagan, believed in many gods, parallel to the many conflicting forces that there are in reality. So they had a sun god, they had a thunder god, and they had a god for every different force. So even when they took our Bible and ostensibly, supposedly monotheism, they don't believe in the pure monotheism that we believe in. They still believe in Lucifer, Antichrist, They believe in the power of evil. That in itself is a schism in creation. Right? Only the Jewish people have the clarity of how everything serves the will of the one God. That's only the Kabbalah could teach that, and that's in the oral law. So only we are. That's why what's called Goy Echad Baretz, the one nation, as we explained, not just the one nation that was meant to exist, but the nation that is in touch with the unity of God, which is also the unity in destiny and the unity in creation. Right? But there has to be the diversity and the individuality to give every person a job to do. Excuse me, please. Sonny is getting into trouble. Hello? Someone go into the kitchen right now. Check that she didn't turn on the gas. Sorry about that. Anyway, this. But there has to be the diversity, and the unity should not be at the expense of individuality. Because, like we said, God wants there to be free will, free for everyone to earn their keep, not just be the beneficiary of charity. I want you to feel a sense of individual achievement. Right? Right? Now, the amazing thing is that this the Talmud says, the Gemara Avodah Zarah Daf Hey, right? Bo nachzik tov alav ser shu molech chot harak mish lo balam. Let us be grateful to our forefathers that they sinned. If not, we may have never been born. Meaning to say, right, that we need so many generations to fix all the cosmic damage that will give us a chance to fix ourselves. All the cosmic damage that our forefathers did. Oh, there's a certain irony over here, a happy irony, that the more mess that earlier generations made it necessary for new generations to be born to try to set it right. This is unbelievable. All right, we're having a classic time over here. I am so glad that there's no live viewers right now. But this Maamar is priceless. So please put all the family issues aside and concentrate on the content that we're saying. Anyways, the more of a mess that there was, the more that more individuals could be born. Whatever you're doing, give her some. Share with her for the sake of the rabbi. Okay, sacrifice some mango so people can learn Torah. Okay. Okay. And now there's an amazing depth to this. What's the difference between a king and a dictator? And Donald Trump is a king. He was elected by me and you, not by the Russians and not by the Ukrainians. We have to support our president. Anyways, he was duly elected. A king is chosen. So there's one king, but it's so much. His kingdom is so much greater if people, willingly accepted him. Now, of course, God is king, whether we like it or not. He's omnipotent. He gave us the opportunity to have the privilege to accept him, and it's not just a privilege because it's an honor to accept God, but also He pays us for that. We get rewarded for that. So the very fact that we have free will, and there's one God for all, one King for all, and so that is the beauty of where individuality meets the collective, in a way that the collective doesn't annul the individuality, and the individuality doesn't annul the collective. And that's who we daven for on Shabbos Yom. Same chelkenu, give our portion. Every person has his individual portion. B'sorah secha. But I should have a portion in your Torah. And everyone should have like a sense, first of all, his own understanding of Torah, his own chidushei Torah. And we spoke about this in another forum, right? But it all goes back to your Torah, my portion in your Torah. So the Torah is the master plan, the unified master plan. Everyone has his own portion in the Torah. Right? And my portion is also how I do my part to reveal the light of Torah in my generation, to do my part to fight against the Democrats, the leftists. I mean, anything that obscures God's kingdom, right? The liberals, right? I do my part to fight back and to bring the light of Hashem into the world. So I'm doing my part, Chel Keinu, my part for His sake, for His Torah. My part in His Torah, where the individual, you have all the benefits of the individual together with the collective. Without generally, the collective negates the individual. In communism, socialism, and leftism, they squelch individual rights and freedom of individual speech in favor of the collective. Right? In Judaism, it's not that way. The individual gets full fulfillment as an individual, and it doesn't come at the expense of the collective. The collective empowers the individual, and the individual finds fulfillment in doing his part to fight for the collective. Amazing. It's only in Torah that way. That's what it says on the sixth day. Hashem was chilek ma'asav. He divided up his creations and he reigned over them. That's the greatness of his king. King is greater if people actually elect him and choose him, even though he's in essence a king anyway. Right? So that's now, and you got to think about this on a deeper level, right? That everybody has their own individual achievement in his own individual way, tapping into the omnipotent, singular master plan. It's the beauty because the collective light is too big for any individual to hold. You would think that what the individual achieves and the collective are two different things, but it's not that way. In Torah, it's all one. I could have my individual portion of the collective, even though the collective is omnipotent and infinite. It's amazing. Right? And it's only for the Jewish peoples that way. The Goyim are stuck on the outside in the world of contradictions. Of a world of good versus bad, and the Ramchal in his Dastvos counts 5 ways that on paper you could be monotheistic and still not believe in the absolute unity of God, the absolute unity of his power and his providence, right? You could be just believe in one good God and still not believe in the unity of God the way the Jewish people do. Is the one and only real power, the only one driving force in destiny, and master of all, and all serves him, even the evil that opposes him, deep down serves him. Only we can have our own individual portion in that. And that's the eighth. That's the aspect that we live. The diversity is a world of 7, right? And that's why also we find that you'll find multiples of 7. In the diversity. First of all, there's 7 days of the week, right? 7 branches of wisdom, right? And there's also even in Torah that everyone has his own individual take in Torah. It's that to the point that a Talmud Chacham can call his Torah his own Torah in Torah Lehu. So you'll find that the diversity in Torah that everyone has his individual portions in multiples of 7. Like mem test panim tar, you could 49 ways to look at something tahar, pure, 49 ways to look at impure, and the possibilities of how to analyze the Torah, 49 7 times 7, or shivim panim l'Torah, 70 faces of Torah, 10 times 7, or the 70 that sit in the Sanhedrin plus the one that's the tiebreaker. It's amazing. The diversity is in 7. There's the unity that permeates the diversity. And that unity that permeates is only by the Jewish people. Jewish people have, the Jewish church has the benefit of, in full benefit of individuality, and the individuality doesn't contradict the collective, and the collective doesn't contradict the individuality. Both are true. And that's all reflected in the menorah. 7 branches from one solid piece of wood. So now on Chanukah, and with this we're going to conclude. I think we've expressed this adequately. Right on Chanukah, we are now coming to, the 8th day is the breakthrough day. This is we come to what's above nature. We know nature is in units of 7, like we said. The diversity is in 7. This 8th day, it's a whole nother level. Unity is a whole nother level than diversity. But it's like point center, as we've explained in another forum. Point center is not on any side, right? Point center is its own thing. It doesn't belong to any side, so that wouldn't be the center. Its own thing, but it permeates all the different sides. Every side meets at the center, right? That is the 8th. When we reach the higher level that permeates all. So on the one hand, on the 8th night, we light an 8th candle, 8 separate candles, because we get credit as if we achieved it individually. The Chanukah candles are each one. Every Jew is a candle. Every Jew and the Torah, the mitzvahs of every Jew is a candle, and each candle is separate. There's no duplicates, there's no superfluous. Every Jew is his own unique light that he adds to the world, and let's not take that individuality away from him. And every Jew has his unique chelkenu bisorta, his part in the whole. His part in the whole, and your part, my part in the whole, is on the eighth night of Hanukkah. I light 8 separate candles representing my individual contribution to bring out the eighth, to bring the collective light. This is what I did and what I'll get paid for bringing out the light of the collective that it encompasses all seven. And that's at night. That's because, like we explained, that's our job to dispel the darkness. That's at night. But by day, which is the Olam Haba is likened today. Olam Hazeh is likened this world, and at the time of the exile is likened to darkness and tonight. The Geula, the redemption, and Olam Haba is likened to the day when God will reveal His oneness. And we're going to see the collective. So the eighth day, which is parallel to the eighth millennium, when God will begin the next world, the eighth day. Now we're at nighttime. So we're talking about what I did to dispel the darkness, to bring in the light of unity. That's the eighth night, 8 separate candles. Eighth day is the light of the unity itself, right? That comes out, in the eighth millennium in Olam Haba, and that's where everything is together. You see, everyone could actually visibly see the master plan itself, and that was alluded to all those years ago in the mission, right? Adding up everything. Everyone had their own separate individual achievement, but then showing the whole that's greater than the sum of the parts that comes out at the end of it all. So everyone has their own individual portion in trying to reveal that light in his shoveling towards uncovering that light. And then there's the revelation of the all-encompassing light itself. And that all-encompassing light is the essence of everything. The essence, the unified essence of Zos. This is Chanukah Samizbeach. Zos Chanukah. This is the essence that permeates all, the unifying force. Right. So tonight we get credit for everyone having done their part of dispelling the darkness. My part to dispel the darkness, to reveal my angle on that unifying light. The eighth day is parallel to the eighth millennium. Daytime. The goodness of God, where the world that has no darkness. That's when the thing itself, the unity itself, gets revealed in its full glory. So at night everyone claws towards it in his own way, and then we merit to see the collective revealed at the daytime when there is no darkness in the world to be dispelled anymore, and the two are not a contradiction. The hidden unity empowered the individuals to do their thing, and the accomplishment of the individuals, added up to reveal the hidden unified field, right? So our achievement, of dispelling darkness is, our individual achievement. That's what's celebrated by night, and the unity itself is revealed on the eighth day, and that unity is Zos, the essence that permeates all of reality. Thank you for bearing with me. Now, please, after everything we went through, all the bark, all the times we had together, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. Thank you very much.